Guys, I'm Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert.
And we're the Film Flamers.
And we're bringing you another hot take.
That's right. This one has been years in the making.
Yeah, I feel like we've been talking about this on many Shooting the Flames.
I feel like we've been talking about it since at least Boston when it was announced back in 2019.
Yeah, we have been. We've been discussing this quite a bit. And we are here to talk about the first half of Alien Earth Season 1.
That's right. We wanted to start doing a little more TV. And of course, since we've been talking ad nauseum whenever we get new news about this one, especially since I think like Romulus was announced, produced, and came out after this one was announced.
That's right.
Right. And so I think we were just kind of like on the fence with it. We didn't know what was gonna happen because we knew that Ridley Scott's franchise had kind of fallen out of favor with the audiences, and like he's kind of lost interest because of that. And so we were just like, what's going on with this franchise, you know? And then Romulus was kind of announced around the same time as a TV show, separate complete timelines too, and we were kind of confused by that. So it's finally interesting to see both, and Romulus kind of blew us away.
Yeah.
Not like, I don't remember if we gave it 5 stars, but it's close. It has its problems, the fucking facehugger Paddock for one.
I think just like, more current movies in this franchise, it took us a minute and a second viewing to really like let that movie grow on us. But I mean, I liked it, originally, and then the second time I was like, wow.
Or grow inside of us.
Grow inside, to parasite itself inside of us.
Yes. If anything, this is, I don't know, I started feeling much better about it when we started getting early reviews, where it's basically started ending up kind of right after Alien and Aliens as far as like its RT score, right? Ahead of Romulus even. And that kind of perked up my ears a little bit. And I was like, is it really? Is that true? Like, is this going to be one of those things where like the critics and the audience don't really agree? Or is this just like early critics because they handpick people, like handpick juries? You know what I mean?
But just like with anything in the Alien franchise, of course, we were going to watch it, but Chris is right. And so like for me, my interest was really piqued when they started with the teasers, right? Which we talked about on Shooting the Flames as well.
Yeah. And the first teaser, I think, was just like going through the first teaser was actually just showing the alien on Earth, like an Earth in the background, kind of a motif or whatever, a montage. And then we got the montage of something going through a spaceship that was headed towards Earth. And we saw a facehugger on a window, and that was kind of it. We still had no clue of the story until the trailer hit, and we were like, oh, this is trying to do a lot more than we originally had thought.
Yeah, I think by the time they started talking about like other creatures, other alien species that are going to be involved and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, that's really interesting that they're going to add something like that. So it's not just a xenomorph. And I mean, it could also be a little like scary to say that they're going to fuck with it too much. But I mean, I think as we will go through this conversation, I really like that addition to this.
Well,
I like
it also
the cool things.
Feels like the people that were involved in this franchise are kind of involved anyway. Ridley Scott, I know, has been involved, at least in part.
As a producer, yeah.
And I know some other folks. And then I think the guy that, Dan Trachtenberg, that's working on the Predator franchise must be, because now looking at that trailer for his latest Predator film that's coming out, and looking at that synthetic that's in that trailer makes a lot more connection to what they're doing right now with Alien Earth.
And I really say, like, we probably owe a little bit of this to Disney, you know what I mean? I guess for like getting Fox and like uniting some of these franchises, even more than they already were when they were just under the Fox umbrella. But I feel like there's a real big push to like continue this like shared universe between Alien and Predator, and I think that's cool too. Yeah.
Or, Disney's subsidiary, Hulu's subsidiary FX.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all the same thing. But yeah, I feel like the show is original and good, but also it feels kind of nostalgic and fun. And I mean, it just works for me so far.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be one thing. I thought it was going to just try and do, it's aliens, but it's on Earth. We've seen it before in Aliens versus Predator, and Aliens in that franchise, right? And to horrible effect in most cases, at least after the first, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, great, it's going to be one of those. They better not set it in modern day. Finally, we found out that it wasn't set in modern day. So it's like slowly but surely it felt competent. And then they announced the showrunner, which I had kind of forgotten about until recently, which is Noah Hawley. And he did Legion and Fargo,
right?
Two very critically acclaimed shows, especially Fargo, which is still going on.
Fargo got a shit ton of Emmy nominations, and I think its second season like really put it on the map. I haven't seen it, obviously, because
every movie star wants to be a part of it. It has been really at this point.
I mean, you had Kirsten Dunst in that second season, and like just everybody loved that show, and continued to do so. So obviously, he knows how to make good television, and I think that FX will sort of just let him do the things that he wants to do at this point, right? Because Legion was on FX, right? Fargo is too.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's really chosen his network, and they're letting him do these things. And like, just based on this, like, I am no good judge of television anymore. You know what I mean? But like, if his other shows are as well made and thought out as this one is, then I should go back and watch them.
Really, the golden age of TV kind of started, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, maybe even more than that.
And then we've been maybe even more kind of kicked off with Sopranos, you know, and then like with prestige television and like movie budgets and things like that, and kind of has gone up from there. And we haven't gone over the crest, I don't think, really yet. And so like we have really, really good, especially the latest trend, I feel like, is competence porn, right? And so we see some of the best, smartest shows like Breaking Bad, you know, or Succession, right? Where there's like a lot of competence happening, and like they reduce the tropes of idiot plots, right? And so when we first saw the first episode of this, the pilot, I was like, this is way more contemplative and like dreamlike in some sense than I had even ever dreamed to imagine or even want to hope for, right? Which kind of is reminiscent of moments maybe from the first Alien and Aliens. And certainly the more contemplative parts of it are also reminiscent of things like Blade Runner, which are supposed to be part of this franchise as well.
And I completely get that, and I agree with you. I think that there's some sort of like quality to this that reminded me a lot of Alien and Aliens, like those first two movies. Just the way that it looks and the way that it feels. And I know that in its timeline, in the timeline of the franchise, it's supposed to take place maybe like less than 200 years before Aliens, maybe even less than that. It's really, really cool. Alien. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Alien takes place 2 years after this.
That's it. Okay, so it's super close. Okay.
And Aliens is, of course, 57 years after that because she's in cryo or whatever.
So it's supposed to feel somewhat like those. It's supposed to be in the same general time period.
So based on that timeline, you could probably guess that, Weyland-Yutani knows what these things are. They're going to have whatever, because this shipment failed, they're going to have this other, whoever's closest out there to stop at this planet where they originally got the eggs or whatever. And then Sigourney does her whole franchise, you know?
Yeah.
And so I can kind of see how that ends. Or some company, and it doesn't matter. Like, everything could happen on Earth in this show, and that could happen in the middle of the show. We would never, and we know what kind of happens, and it nods to it, right? Still, I am balls deep in this plot, and it could go wherever it wants, really.
And I hope that it does too. I mean, I don't want it to be a slave to the rest of the franchise. Obviously, it's working toward another story, and that's fine. But I think that this is doing something much, much different than that, and something grander, right? And you would expect that from television. And so, I mean, we don't want to spoil too much because obviously we want people to watch this. But like, basically, in this world that we're given, a ship that's Weyland-Yutani has landed on a land that's owned by another company called Hybrid, right? Prodigy. And then they go and they collect all these alien life forms that have been collected on that ship to study, right?
Yeah, but there's one survivor.
There's one survivor who looks very Koto.
Yep, he's a cyborg. And it does do a little bit of a kind of teaser at the beginning of the pilot that shows kind of what their story was, and it basically is telling us that's the plot of Alien, right? And there's a teaser for this next episode. It's episode 5, which we have not seen yet. That is essentially an episode where it's showing what happened on that ship.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that.
So that's really interesting because all of these characters are just jumping off the page, so to speak. I think that it's super interesting with, like, if you look at the first two movies, Alien and Aliens, it's about humans, employees, whatever, being expendable. And, you know, the evils of the kind of corporate capitalistic mandate. And then there's also a running theme of AI, right? With, Bishop. And then, of course, famously in the first one, with Ash, right? And so there's always those two major themes, and aliens are kind of window dressing in a way, right? About man's hubris and things like that. And so we get all the aliens, and plus ones that we never wanted to see, which I love.
Some of them are really fucking gnarly, too.
Some might be worse than the xenomorphs, which I never imagined. Ugh. And then we're talking about AI in a way that this started to get into with Prometheus and Covenant, right? With David and all of that. And what is humanity? And at what point does someone that is a cyborg versus someone that is a hybrid who is consciousness put into a robot body versus someone that was born synthetic, where does that humanity start and stop? Where is it there at all? And so that's really one of the big focuses of the show, and it's super interesting what they're doing with it.
I would agree with you. I really like the concepts that they're exploring with this, because it's not just talking about like a mesh of humanity and AI and synthetic beings, but it's also talking about, what it's like to be at a certain age and how time affects that and the changing of bodies and things like that. And I think it's really, really neat to be able to see how these like hybrid models, these, people's consciousness put into these bodies, because it's just different, right? So, I mean, this is not too much of a spoiler, but it's children, right, in there. And it's interesting to see these adults, act like children, but also try to like learn their new bodies and what they can do with it. And it's just really, really a cool concept. I didn't know they were doing that in the show at all. And I have to say, like, the actors who are playing these hybrids are really good at what they're doing, because they're all sort of like acting like children and very innocent.
Especially Sydney Chandler, who's leading.
Yes.
Who plays Wendy, because they're all named after Lost Boys, right? And of course, they own all this Disney stuff, so they're able to show all the cartoons that Disney has,
That's right. And the Fox things, too, because now they've just got Ice Age up in there. So she plays Wendy, and I mean, synthetic Amelie, really, just based on her styling.
Yeah.
So... But I think that she's doing a really, really good job, and she's like really carrying this show. And then another actor that I was surprised to see that I didn't know was in this was Essie Davis from Babadook. And she's also really good in this. Like, the acting actually is just like top notch.
The casting overall. I want to say the guy that's like the Yaphet Kotto character,
the
cyborg. He's amazing. And then I love Timothy Olyphant in this.
He's my favorite character and actor in this show. I think this is the best acting that Timothy Olyphant has ever done, and he's done good TV in the past.
He has, and he doesn't have actually that much to do other than kind of watch and then be competent.
Yep.
And he is a big source of the competent porn in this show.
And I mean, he's just like, he's so snarky, and he just does it so well. But he also fits the mold of the character that he is. And, he's the voice of reason sometimes. And he's also like a guardian, and he just does everything. And I just think it's a really well-made, well-written character. And I can tell that he's enjoying like playing that like so much.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable to watch. I think when actors are enjoying what they're doing and they have a good script and they have a good show to work on, it makes a huge difference.
Granted, I would say the first 3 episodes of this series so far feel like one cohesive pilot if you watch them all together.
Yep.
And it's the budget for this, or at least the production value, seems like just $1 billion.
Oh,
like
it's expensive.
It looks amazing. Yep. Better than most films at this point, right? And so, and sounds amazing, right? I love the kind of last time on style that they do, which is just kind of going over the titles, and it kind of gives you a visual montage that fits the music that they do for their intro, and that's all that you get, right? Which I love. I love the simplicity of it.
I think we mentioned that while we were watching. We watched the first 3 episodes sort of back to back, and you're right. It really felt like watching, a film. And like by that second or third episode, one of us turned to the other and said, like, I'm really liking the previously on moments, because it's just neat and quick, and they're not like beating you over the head with it, And that's the kind of thing you would expect from something that you would be binging, right? But they're not releasing this show like that.
I don't have to skip intro every time or whatever. There is no intro.
Yeah, they don't really even offer it. They're just like, we're going to give you like a flash of 3 different scenes from the previous episode.
And sometimes they give you new things that are things maybe think people were thinking about. Like, that weren't actually in the show. Like, so it's useful. It's almost like the Alamo Drafthouse, like pre-show or something, you know, and it's only like 10 seconds, but whatever. After the first 3, we get a kind of a connective tissue breath narrative break, essentially, right? So it's one of those episodes that's setting up for the next half of the, you know, or the next couple of episodes, right? It's a connective tissue episode. And it's like, if anything about this show fails, I feel like it's going to be the incompetence of these children or the incompetence of the adults that are supposed to be watching them. Or something. They have narrowly avoided it, but I'm getting more and more concerned that the show is going to start annoying the shit out of me with these kids.
I gotta hope not, because I really like those characters quite a bit. But at this point, and the 4th episode to me is all about like character building, right? Like they had a really good setup in the first 3 episodes, and they were enjoyable. And now they have to do a lot of character building with the human characters and the aliens that they've already collected and brought in. Because I mean, obviously, as good as the drama is and the human interaction, I also want to see what these other aliens are. And they've teased them quite a bit over those 3 episodes, and they're going to start to like piecemeal this shit and feed it to us, right? And that's fine. But like, I want more of it. I don't want this whole 8 episodes to go by and we haven't explored every single alien at least a little bit more fully. Like, don't give me blue balls and wait for season 2. That's what I would have a problem with.
Yeah, and I'm worried about that too, because like the Cyborg guy it seems like all he's interested in is like the franchise savvy, like, oh, I just want those eggs. Fuck the other, like he didn't even mention the other aliens that are there, right? And I'm like, at least one of those aliens that we know about seems just as capable, if not faster, you know, at what it does than the alien life cycle, right? Because it's like one has to have big chunky eggs that are a big target. Then the facehugger has to do it. And then you're like, you know, like it's a whole life cycle, right? That has steps. At each step you could stop it, right? The eyeball thing, spoiler alert, there's an eyeball tentacle monster that burrows in your head, replaces one of your eyes by popping it out of your skull, and then taking over your body with its tentacles. I'm guessing pressing on little nerve centers in your brain.
Yeah, it's just controlling your thoughts and we assume, and your brain. And
it's like taking that original premise of like the face rape from the first facehugger, and then like truncating everything else, and then losing all bodily autonomy to make you into the monster in a way that the first alien just didn't. So that's really, really interesting, and I'd love to see the eyeball monster and how it actually works. And then we're about to find out, I think.
Good. I hope so. And then like there's lots of other cool things. I mean, within the first couple of episodes, we get, you know, a better idea of like some of the smaller aliens and see what they can do to people and in situations. And I'm like, it's all just really, really cool and quite scary. And the creature effects are great.
And fun. There's fun moments. There's scary moments with the creatures. There's foreboding, you know, and then there's, you know, tension moments. And then there's the fun moments that we can get. There's a group of folks that are maybe on the rich side of things that open a door and they may or may not get massacred hilariously. So just wait for that moment. I think it's in episode 2.
And I mean, the thing is, like, the creature effects are really, really good. To be fair, like, I feel like the xenomorphs in this are some of the best looking xenomorphs I've seen in a very long time.
And they're mostly puppets, is why.
Thank God that people are following Alvarez's vision and doing like practical effects, because that's what makes the Alien franchise so good, is that it looks real. And I really love that. And everything just looks and feels so good in this. And I don't know. I mean, I had quite the boner for this series, and I have to say, with the first 4 episodes at least, like it's paying off. Like it's
massively.
Yeah.
And it's just it's exploding the universe, the franchise, in ways that I didn't think that we would see. This does not seem like a cash grab. This seems like a love letter.
Yes.
And that's what I want to, if I give you guys anything, our franchise is safe in these hands, at least so far.
I think that's the best way to put this. It's very succinct and exactly true. And the best way to describe this show. So, I mean, like, obviously, guys, for those of you who've listened to our podcast low these many years, you know what we feel about this franchise, and it's had its highs and lows.
And we're very protective of it.
We are. And, you know, so I'm just like, immediately I was like, if they fuck this up, I'm going to be so mad. And that's usually been my first reaction to some of these newer
Prometheus and Covenant, for
Alien
instance.
movies. Yeah. And so, but with this, I didn't feel that way. I was like, this seems right. And so, like, if y'all haven't checked out these episodes yet, you need to go and do it, because I know you guys like the Alien franchise, and it is here, and these episodes are great.
I'm very close to giving it a 5-star so far.
I have given the first 4 episodes 5 stars for me completely. Yeah. Like there's not anything that I would change. I think that it really does a good job of getting its hooks into you and getting you ready to watch it. And this is coming from someone who does not like to watch a lot of television, you know, and I have gotten to a place where I'm like, where's the next episode? Like I would binge it, you know? Yeah. So 5 stars completely. Well, I think that just about wraps up this hot take on the first half of Alien Earth. As Chris mentioned earlier, we're going to come back after the last 4 episodes and give our hot take on the back half, and then maybe talk about the whole series in its entirety.
I think that's going to be the end of September or early October by the time you get that in your inbox.
Mm-hmm. In your ear holes. So stay tuned for that. But we do have more content coming out for you on the main feed this month. We're starting another franchise to talk about, and that is Friday the 13th. So
that's right.
Stay tuned for those episodes, and I'm sure that'll probably take over Patreon as well.
What a great month for Film Flamers content.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I like Jason and his mom.
We just keep handing out the hits.
Visit patreon.com/thefilmflamers to get all the bonus episodes and join the family in the chat over there. And as always, we want to know what you think about this show if you've seen it and our conversation about it. Find us on social media at The Film Flamers, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, on Threads, on all the places.
You can email us at tiredqueens@filmflamers.com or call our hotline at 972-666-7733. Oh, want my ball in your socket? I'm not even going to try.
Okay, well, with that being said, I think it's time for us to go and have some sweet dreams. Yes, please.